Good evening, everybody. The nightcap here from the NPL New South Wales men's on Saturday nights here at Penshurst Park. St George City hosting Sydney Olympic in a battle down the bottom of the mid-season table. But both showing signs of life coming into the night. St George City finding themselves in a scrap to survive really for the first time in their short history. There were worries last year, but a late season surge around this time saw them safely into mid-table on a ninth place finish. A similar result tonight would whisk them into a similar position against struggling Sydney Olympic. This situation not only unusual, but unacceptable to their loyal but weary support. They do arrive tonight having 1-2 on the bounce, though, through to the Australia Cup national rounds and fresh from a week off. A win tonight would suddenly have them just 4 points from safety, when a month ago, all was looking a little lost. Michael Melita has instilled a belief and a steal to this team since taking over. Will it hold firm at one of the trickiest visits in the competition? Let's have a look at the team news. 3 changes for Mickey Yerrell to the team that beat St George FC in the derby last weekend by 1-0. Mason Tatafu drops out altogether, with Roma Chelina coming in. Monahan Vaika, Matty Jackson, another one brought in, with Paolo Mitri expected to add to the attacking stocks. Behind them, Jack Kenny resumes in goal. Matt Wabi and Ben Berry are in there as well. Brody Clarkson, Lewis Curry and Hiroto Damoto, with Jorn Pedersen expected to lead the line. For Sydney Olympic, 2 changes. They had a weekend off after their 3-2 win over Fraser Park, a come-from-behind victory in the Australia Cup last Wednesday. And they make 2 changes from that team. Josh Hong out suspended after picking up his 5th yellow card against Blacktown City, so Peter Grossos comes into midfield, and Georgios Luka making way for Daniel Wong, who was the hero of that cup tie, with 2 goals off the bench in the second half to catalyse the comeback. Behind them, Anthony Carreras in goal, Ben Jassen, Peter Politis, Siggy Gordon, and Sam Bosniak, the unchanged back 4, with Max Luberich and Mason Fernandez in midfield. Sebastian Kukuchka, Wong as mentioned, and Bailey Callahan leading the line. Well, there's something about this ground. It always throws up surprises. Whatever you're expecting at the start of the night rarely eventuates. So can St George City hoist themselves into the relative safety of mid-table? They'd love that. With all 3 points tonight, the next 90 minutes hold the answer. Good evening, Alex Molchanov. My name along with you this evening. Slate of NPL New South Wales fixtures, as tends to be the case on Saturday now. Continued through the day. And this our allocated match of the round. So reminder to jump onto the socials, NPL New South Wales, across Instagram, X and Facebook. Find the behind the scenes action being brought to you by Tiago and the team. Hopefully there's plenty of it. It's been an intense start to this one. Nothing less than you'd expect. St George City have welcomed back some very helpful faces over the last month or so. Brody Clarkson missed most of the start of the year. Having him back in midfield along with Lewis Curry has seen an upturn in their fortunes. They're forced to do some defending early here. Monahan Vaika, as always, well positioned. Wearing the captain's armband as he has for the last couple of seasons here. Defensive partner for him this season. It does look as though Ural's lining his team up in the back 4 again. There had been a bit of switching in the early season, trying to find the right formula. The performance last weekend seeming to say that 4 is the way to go. Clarkson provides not only ball-playing ability, but defensive cover in front of Berry and Monahan Vaika. Berry, the off-season signing for Blacktown City, was a championship winner in his first season of first grade back in 2022. First season away from his junior club. It's been a topsy-turvy ride. Got the red card a few weeks ago, but he's returned to the heart of defence, and they're happy to have him there. But the game in which he copped that red card, the 5-0 defeat against Sydney FC, has catalysed somewhat of a change. Not lost by more than the odd goal since then. St George City, they've looked sterner defensively. Finds a way to goal a little more regularly. It's been the challenge for Pedersen and a few of the others who have led the line over the course of the season. Pedersen was the signing they had high hopes for from Japan. You can see him leading the press as Politis plays out through Jarson. The pressure from his countryman Tomoto was too much. Fortunately, from an Olympic perspective, ball trickles behind for an early goal kick. For Olympic, it's been the injection of youth that has really sparked the turnaround. Thought was that when Yuto Fujita and his countryman Yuta Kimura dropped out of the 11, that things may go from bad to worse. The opposite has been true. Sebastian Kukuchka coming in and starting again tonight. Scored his first senior goal against Blacktown City, was impressive against Fraser Park. It's an attacking lineup that Michael Mileta has gone with tonight. Hong out suspended. Bringing in Grozos to the heart of midfield is not a defensive-minded option, that's for sure. Player of technical quality, will be looking to push forward, and in fact it's Fernandez really is playing deeper with Luburic through the middle of the park in the early stages. Here's Daniel Wong, fresh off his 2-goal performance last Wednesday. Rare start for him this season. He's struggled to get himself fit, and then when he has been, into the starting lineup. But those 2 goals are one way to win your coach's respect and trust. It's the cliched game of 2 halves for Sydney Olympic against Fraser Park. The underdogs who were more enthusiastic showed more intent in the first half. Olympic really fought their way out of trouble in the second. It's going to be interesting to see just how the cavalcade of fixtures they've got ahead of them affect their chances of survival. Got a midweek catch-up against SD Raiders coming this week, I should say. Have a Waratah Cup semi-final against Sydney United out at Belmore, which they'll be excited for and hoping to make the most of. And then an impending round of 32 Australia Cup tie, as well as a Waratah Cup final to slot in there if they upset the odds again and manage to beat United there. They've edged the early stages here, and they've won a free kick in a promising area. Kukuchka brought down as he darted off the left. He's a youngster in form. I'd say he's a youngster, Kukuchka, as young as some of the others. Georgios Lucas Williams, who's out through illness tonight, scored the opening goal of that comeback last Wednesday. Plenty of big bodies. Ziggy Gordon's forward, as is Bosniak, and it's deep towards Callahan. Wabi watching him all the way. Good piece of defensive tracking. See how aggressive Olympic look to be as St George City tend to play out. Monaghan Viker with a sloppy ball out to Matty Jackson, who's back into the starting 11 tonight. In fact, it's not Jackson out on that side, it's, I believe, Chelina. Starting at left back, another one of the off-season signings. The Wanderers Academy. He's managed to recover his skipper's error there. Seen him used in a couple of different roles off the bench for Ural this season. Roman Chelina. Here's D'Amato. Sweeping across was Politis. Be a close run thing between he and Ziggy Gordon for the longest serving remaining players at Sydney Olympic now. Central defensive pairing among an otherwise very youthful squad. cup victory was something to hang on to for Sydney Olympic fans. You can only imagine disappointment had they been knocked out by a team 2 tiers below, given their station this season. Last time the club played below the top tier of New South Wales State League football was back in 1960. They were still known as Panhellenic then. The last relegation was in 1979. That was from the NSL back to the New South Wales State competition. I suppose if everything does go pear-shaped for the remainder of the season, Olympic fans can take some solace from the fact they were promoted just a year later in that instance, but this is not a familiar mire they find themselves in season 2026. The bright start has given way to some sustained St George City possession with Cholina. Monahan Viker goes route one. Tomoto looking to chase, but a couple of aimless balls from the skipper in the opening 8.5 minutes. Searching for some inspiration in that attacking third. There's no shortage of options there. Players like Jesse Foti dropping back to the bench tonight. Hoping that Matty Jackson, who's started on the right this evening, can give them a little bit more attacking spark. And he's on the ball here, Jackson. Wabi, on his starting spot on the side midway through last season, has not relinquished it since. Clarkson. Monahan Viker. Tidier this time. Curry. Another who they were missing at the start of the year. Cholina. Looking for options in front of him. There weren't too many, so it's forced to just circulate the football with Berry. And that is another loose pass out from the St George City centre halves. Need to get that sorted. Olympic looking very comfortable with everything in front of them over the first 10 minutes. The intensity of the opening exchanges has just given way to a little bit of indecision for both teams. We actually expect that, given their form coming into tonight. Bosniak looking for the incisive pass. Easily tidied up by Kenny. He can't keep his feet. We talk about how games here are often wild and woolly. This game is taking up that character in the very early stages. Keep you updated with some of the results from elsewhere happening this afternoon as well. Very much up the other end of the table, albeit leading Manly with just under half an hour to play, I should say. Just a single goal from Oscar Gonzalez. Sutherland have gone to the break at Barton Park with a 1-0 lead over St George FC. That will put smiles on the faces of both sets of supporters here tonight. St George FC on a run that could be historic if they continue to lose matches consecutively. St George City added to their woes last weekend. Cholina. City playing with plenty of territory, lacking incisiveness, and Monahan Viker trying to bypass midfield. Pedersen appreciating the effort, but not quite the execution. It's funny, Penshurst has got this reputation as a difficult place to visit teams, despite how lovely the facility is once you get here. Always loving the sponginess of the pitch. City themselves have found it tricky at different times this season. They've lost 3 of their last 5 at home. They're always in with a chance, but it almost seems to level the playing field at different times. They've beaten the likes of RB Leichhardt and the big boys here. It's Paolo Mitri, longest serving player, back into the starting lineup tonight. Part of their key part of their promotion campaign, the opening season at this facility back in 2022, on to win the NPL 2 Grand Finals, the last of the NPL 2 Grand Finals because of the promotion relegation playoff. They're not played anymore. Bosniak. Oh, it's Olympics' turn to just put their foot on the ball and try and generate something in an attacking sense. Kukuchka's been a consistent outlet. Chelina read the ball forward. Fernandez dropping deep to retrieve the ball. No, he's looking over the top. Callahan competing, managing to knock it down for Kukuchka. And Curry's so good at winning balls back like that. Stuck in on the blind side like a thief in the night. The ball was gone. Talk about that grand final back in 2022 for City. It's part of a meteoric rise. This is their 10th year of existence as a club. Entering a team into New South Wales football. 3 promotions in their first 7 seasons. Really means that the relegation battles, and I say that extending a ways down the table last year. They were in a situation where things didn't always look comfortable and rosy. They managed to haul themselves out of that. They've found themselves in a similar situation again this year. Certainly with a quality of player to haul them out of it, if they can find a way to bring it all together a little more consistently. Berry stretching to clear, and there are blue shirts flooding forwards. Jackson getting a toe to the ball as Bosniak made his way forward, and Grozos is happy to see it over the touchline. Not without the attention, in fact, it was Fernandez down there of Wabi. Our first attacking corner of the evening for Sydney Olympic. Only one body in front of Kenny, but that's where it's directed, and I think it might have scraped the crossbar on the way through. Looked a fairly firm hand from the St George City goalkeeper, but there was plenty of pressure on him. Ball nearly found its way straight in. And now there's a chance down the other end. It's all action in the minute or so since we ticked past 15. Goodness me. Suddenly, Pedersen was bearing down on goal and Gordon had to come across in cover. Just a little feeling out period, and then both teams generating half chances in the space of a minute. Mitri wanted the corner kick. I don't think it was ever forthcoming. Seem to be trying to rely a little less on set pieces and the like. Shorter, sharper movements in and around the edge of the penalty area. Didn't pull that off there. This is a game that generally brings goals. So George City actually had a very good record. Their first 3 seasons against Sydney Olympic, they didn't lose. No, they haven't won in their last 3 against this opposition. A couple of draws over that run, including a 2-2 at Belmore earlier in the year. That game was heavily affected by a lightning delay. Kukuchka. See the amount of red shirts behind the ball, and Curry always seems to make the telling touch. Well, Monahan Viker's got to think his way through this. He did it nicely with the help of Chelina. Now there might be a chance for them to go in transition. Mitri looking to sweep the ball wide for Jackson. Cut off by Bosniak. And Grozos happy to retain possession. Gordon. Lidus' switch, perhaps on a bigger pitch. Would have been on the money, not on Penshurst Park. Well overhit. Enterprising run forward from Bosniak. Came to the club, he was thought of more as a central defender during his short time through a couple of different A-League clubs. 15 games in the A-League for MacArthur a couple of seasons ago. He and Gordon both boasting that experience in Sydney Olympics backline. Gordon rather more time with both the Central Coast Mariners and Western Sydney Wanderers. Pedersen trying a half volley, put it into an area for D'Amoto to compete, and he managed to work out the second ball off Yasin. Clarkson. Monahan Viker. He's looking for D'Amoto. So often the creative fulcrum for St George City on the flank, but not able to chase that ball down. See how tight and congested everything is at the moment. There's a lot of 50-50s, balls up in the air like that. Berry competing for that one over the top of Callahan. Nice touch to bring the ball down from Monahan Viker, and Curry able to win possession for St George City. Cholina all the way back to Jack Kenny now. Can they get it out to this right flank? Berry. Clarkson. I'll be happy to reset. St George City have edged this game in terms of possession. Not been able to create a clear-cut opportunity other than the one in transition they managed about 4 minutes ago. Well, Matt Wabi was making his way back towards his defensive position and looked up and was excited to see the referee award the throw in his favour. Eventually corrected by his assistant on the near side tonight. Marco Venturino. Carl Davies is our central referee tonight. He's had a pretty quiet evening to this point. I'll be hoping it stays that way. Doing this competition, I doubt it will. Already just a few little coming togethers like that in the last 5 minutes. Wabi beating Bosniak to the ball. Happy to play it over the touchline. That's a loose one back there from Ziggy Gordon to his young goalkeeper, Anthony Carreras. Managed to sort it out. Moved for first-team football. Didn't know if he was going to get it, but has taken over the spot from Josip Orlovic. He started the season in goal. He's acquitted himself fairly well. Gordon with a rather agricultural ball forward and didn't bring the result he was looking for. Kenny returns the favour. Just a few overhit passes. It's as though there's a tension in the boots of all 22 out there at the moment. Some players of serious talent. We haven't seen a whole lot of what they're capable of in the opening quarter of this match. Could it change as Bosniak strides forward? Good direct ball for Wong. Kenny dived and held. Well, the second of his goals was last Wednesday. Daniel Wong came from his head, showing he's a threat with that. attribute again there. Beautifully directed cross and just needing a little more power behind it. It's difficult to head the ball from that far out, but made a good go of it there, Daniel Wong. Mitri's turn. Now St. George City looking brighter. Jackson forces Bosniak back and manages to win St. George City's first attacking set piece of the evening. That's what they're looking for. No doubt St. George City bringing Matty Jackson into the starting lineup tonight to go with his man and get to the byline, try and fire those crosses over. Corner a happy enough result after the good save from Kenny a minute ago. Now to deliver Jackson. It's very close to the near post, dealt with by Jarson. Trying to run the ball out of trouble was Kukuchka. Perhaps some of that inexperience showing there. Shown the touchline by the firm figure of Brodie Clarkson. Took him up on his invitation. Match of round 18 in the NPL New South Wales men's. As things stands on a live ladder. St. George City 11th place. St. George City taking on 16th place in the Olympic. No matter what happens tonight, they can't drag themselves out of that spot, but take themselves within a couple of results of complete safety, within 2 points of the relegation playoff place, pending Blacktown City's results tomorrow. Nice work from Fernandez, and Kukuchka is flitted out to the left, driving at Ben Berry, who covered well. Blacktown hosting Rockdale, who managed to get a 1-1 draw against Marconi at the Palace last weekend. Bit of a turnaround in their form, given their results against big opposition recently. Grozos trying to wrestle his way through a couple of defenders. Wabi was watchful. Not only that, saw the ball over the touchline, not taking a touch. Good piece of defensive work. City have only conceded those couple of half chances in the opening 25 minutes here. Haven't created a clear-cut chance of their own just yet. Despite having the majority of the football, I wonder if that was by his own from Michael Melito and his coaching staff. The Herald's team have been able to do both at different times this season. They put in one of the great defensive displays at the Sydney United Sports Centre to end their perfect run to start the season, claiming a point there. Victory over Apia, the highlight of the campaign so far. Love to add another little crescendo tonight. Call comes to keep the football. They've certainly done a good job of that, St. George City. There's been a little bit of looseness in certain passages like that. Monahan Viker. Kenny playing over the press. Nice bit of hold-up play from Pedersen. Also the ball forward from Mitri. Pedersen stretching, trying to find D'Amato. And again, the ball just overhit a little. The conditions are quicker tonight. It's a cool evening in Sydney. Rain stayed away this weekend after a rather wet and wild one this time last week. Pretty close to perfect conditions for football, not a breath of wind. Bursting through is Fernandez again. In fact, Kukuchka bringing it off that far wing. Now Fernandez out to Bosniak, returns it to him. It's funny, as part of that cup tie on the weekend, on Wednesday nights, Marcus Fernandez, who was impressive, Mason Fernandez's brother, is the top scorer for Fraser Park this season, but missed the game through injury. One of two sets of brothers that took part in that game. A couple of half chances, just waiting for the big moment to spark this one into life. Bosniak with a heavy touch. Wabi just left that a bit short for Jackson initially. He's dragged down by Bosniak, and a bit keen not to let that attack get started at all. This is where City just look a little ponderous, and it's not clean and concise coming out of their own ends. And Vika trying to provide a little bit of that impetus. Nice touch from Demota again. Just has too much on it for Roman Chelina. Hate be saying it because it does get brought up by a lot of commentators, but when you've got a Socceroo as a father, Jason, does warrant mention. Can carve out his own career path. Grandfather Branco was a long-time coach in the National Soccer League and A-League men's as well. I've played a massive part in the history of Australian football. Surname carries a lot of weight. Jackson for Mitri. Pedersen. Jackson. It's a left-footed player off the right. Clarkson searching for the industrious outlet that is Demota, but the Japanese midfielder hadn't timed his run. It's had its moments this first half, but it hasn't quite hit the heights that either team had hoped. It has had a habit, this ground, of throwing up late goals. Manly United managed two of them, one in each half on their visit here a few weeks ago. City, there's been no issue with their top line performance at different stages this season, but this has been a fair way from that in the opening half hour. Mickey Ural is pacing his touchline like a caged lion at the moment. Loose pass from Bosniak, not picked off. Luburic playing it for Jason. Now Kukuchka. Trying to link up with Max Luburic, but easily seen off by Clarkson, who's got back there in cover. Now Olympic getting their chance to try and make use of some sustained possession. Jason. It's a brilliant read from Chelina, and it's launched a counter-attack for St George City. Pedersen, played in by Demoto. Pedersen, good save initially. Jackson, not on his favoured foot, now on his left. Oh, it took an awkward deflection, but it sat up and made it a little easier for Ziggy Gordon to clear. Now the game is stretched. Callahan not able to beat Monaghan Viker to the ball. Can St George City maintain this level of intensity and the preciseness of their play in that last attack? That was the best of what they can offer. Pedersen stinging the palms of Carreras for the first time this evening. Jackson. He's been lively in his return to the starting sides. Couldn't find a shirt. Bleeding red. Loose from Leburic, which drew a groan from a couple of the travelling Olympic supporters, and then a very straightforward decision for Carl Davies. Curry sticking out an arm right in front of him. A little bit of momentum that St George City had been able to coax together just swings away from them slightly again. Olympic have not been able to figure out this switch. That's 2 or 3 now. They've overhit by a good 3 yards. Be interesting to see how early Michael Melita goes to his bench tonight. He's got a few new names there. Junyoung Kim, who's been talked about, a foreign player brought in. It's that time of year where we start to see that sort of thing. Anton Isako, Jack Markwell. Tomoto competing with Jason. Those two have had a good little battle down that far touchline, and Jason's acquitted himself well against the tricky Japanese winger. Pedersen, well, he stretched for the ball, won it fairly, said the referee, and City coming away from that with a throw in their favour. Just about 10 minutes until half-time. Can we find an opening goal of the game to spring it to life? They might do so here. Curry for Jackson. Goes to the right foot this time. Didn't strike it cleanly. It's half an appeal from Matty Jackson for something further. I think it was ever going to come in his favour, but his enterprise has been impressive on the right-hand side. But a little bit more directness to St George City's attack, which they've been missing. Let go in the big makeover at Sutherland, but landed not too far up the M1. Barry. Admire St George City's patience, but love to show a little bit more cutting edge. It's easier said than done against what's been a very disciplined Olympic setup tonight. You see, it's a retreat here. It's an out-and-out 4-4-2 with Wong and Callahan playing together. Grozos retreating into a left midfield position. Only pressing when ball goes backwards like it just has. Even then, Mitri good enough to retain possession and see off the attention. A loose one from Ben Berry. It forces Monahan Viker into a very awkward situation he couldn't work his way out of. Say that for Mickey Earle would be probably the most frustrating thing so far tonight. When they have got into attacking areas, they've looked lively, but they've shot themselves in the foot more than once playing out from the back. Fortunately, it hasn't resulted in a clear-cut Olympic chance to this point. Huabi. Mitre. Looking forward, there aren't too many red shirts there, so he's happy to just circulate with Clarkson. Monahan Viker. Berry. Clarkson again. He's frustrated at the lack of options ahead of him as he rolls the ball back for Monahan Viker. Cholina. Tomoto. Looking to link up with Curry. That's done nicely. Tomoto's cross. Just evaded Jackson. And Curry couldn't bring the ball under his spell before Laburic came across and cleared the danger. The patient build-up almost finding fruit that time. Clarkson again. Mitri from Pedersen. Hobby. Olympic giving St George City a taste of their own medicine from earlier in the season. Over the last 10 minutes, just sitting in very much a low block. Isn't always the case for the first half hour. It looks increasingly, the aim has been not to concede for the visitors in the, 8 minutes that have ticked by since that. Nice touch from Chelina. He's impressed tonight. Curry. Again, Pedersen's just stretching. Always seems to be falling or off balance as that ball is played into his feet. Gorgeous bit of skill from Kukuchka. He's brought his side forward, looking for runners. Fernandez provides support. Bosniak. Grozos. Again, Wabi is so difficult to beat in those one-on-one situations, so he rolls it back. Olympic slowing the pace with it in their possession. Gordon. Jarson. Kukuchka, and then the touch of Bailey Callahan letting his team down there. Jackson. There's only one place he wants to go, and Bosniak knew that. Snuffed out the attack before it could begin. Grozos has his head up. Again, not too many blue shirts forwards. It's been cautious in an attacking sense from both teams. Not committing real numbers forward for fear of being caught out the other way. Both have been keen to break when they have got the opportunity. Again, now you can see City sitting all 11 behind the ball as Politis strides into their attacking half. Giassen. One-hand Viker chasing the ball into the corner, now in a real scrap on the near side. It's fallen for Callahan, and Wong has a swing. Berry got the initial touch. Threw him off balance. Fernandez goes down. Curry clears. Jarson sticks it back in. So it's Berry to clear. Kukuchka takes the ball up and keeps the attack alive. Jarson will have another go. Hoists it high and long. It's the Penshurst night sky. Wabi happy to head the ball over the near touchline. City's turn to absorb some pressure as we tick towards half-time. Oh, clean nutmeg from Bosniak. Had he won it back, Clarkson there to bail out Jackson. Potential embarrassment, but when your team win the ball back, you can say it's clever closing down, really. So the Bosniak, although, has had the better of that little battle. Exception of one opportunity, Jackson had to cut in on his left foot and get a shot away. Clarkson goes to the other flank this time. Tomoto waiting. Gorgeous touch to bring the ball down. Now he needs to escape Jarson's grasp. Curry in support. Chelina. Clarkson. Nice ball to the feet of Tomoto. This is the man that can be dangerous. He gets the crossover. Carreras stretching. Gathered at the second attempt. Tidy piece of goalkeeping. He's not the biggest, Anthony Carreras, but commanding his 6-yard area pretty cleverly there. Distribution was a little lacking. Gordon's put that straight up in the air rather than away. Jackson's right on his heels. Curry. He's trying to ham-fist his way through. And now Matt Fernandez striding away. Pass that didn't reach its intended target. Really didn't give Callahan a chance. Wabi. seen a lot of this over the opening half here at Penshurst Park. Olympics sat deep, City the real quality to progress the football into commanding areas. They're at 5 deep and then almost 5 lined up, looking for that ball over the top, which Politis and Gordon generally have dealt with pretty tidily. Olympic have had their little moments themselves. Daniel Wong forcing a good diving save from Jack Kenny. That's been about the extent of their opportunities in this first half. Been few and far between for both teams. Maybe one last bite here for St George City as we head towards stoppage time in the first half. Clarkson for Jackson. Went down and just copped a little kick to the thigh. Might be a dead leg in the morning. Olympic in that low block again. Clarkson for Berry. Again, Berry just doesn't have options ahead of him. He's forced to lob a hopeful ball into a channel and hope someone is making a run. This time Jackson does do something enterprising, but was cut off by Sam Bosniak, and the ball had run away from him in any case. Been long odds to make it, even with his speed, Matty Jackson. Been a lot of those moments, nearlies. Not the killer pass or the touch to finish either. Drag this game into a bit of a mire as we approach half-time. Both teams have produced moments of quality like this. Kukuchka couldn't take the ball with him. Fed by Grozos. Good piece of defending by Cholina, who got there in the nick of time. Two youngsters going head-to-head in Kukuchka and Cholina. It's been a real arm wrestle. Down Olympics attacking right flank. St George City's defensive left, and sloppy foul to give away right in the shadows of half-time. Player facing away from goal. So hearts will just sit in mouths for a moment longer here. It's a City faithful here at Penshurst Park. Grozos and Fernandez, the two-man committee over the football for Olympic. Grozos has got a history of spectacular strikes from distance. This might be a little wide for him. It's well directed, and I tell you what, Mitri headed the ball into the ground and over the crossbar. It was unorthodox. It was effective enough. It's looked the manner most likely to see the deadlock broken. Those well-directed set pieces from both teams. St George City nearly they masters of their own downfall there. Kenny's happy to see the ball bounce over his crossbar, but more defending to do from the corner towards Gordon, who knocked it down. Olympic appeals for a handball, but waved away, and St George City clearing their lines means they've survived the first half. One they had the better of for its majority, more possession, more territory, but unable to break down Olympic's low block, which has been unbending in its discipline, in their desire to try and get something from this game. 3 points means so much to both teams at this stage of the season. Chances few and far between. Daniel Wong's header forced to save from Jack Kenny. That was about the clearest cut opportunity we saw for either team, outside of Paolo Mitri heading over his own crossbar. From Penshurst Park, after 45 minutes, the match of round 18 in the NPL New South Wales men's. It's St George City 0, Sydney Olympic 0.
It's a sunny afternoon around Sydney town. Looking forward to how this game goes. Oh, geez. I tell you what, that is plucky. Lawal just got his rump in. A wipe with a towel. We're in injury time as we speak. Still waiting for the board. I think it's going to be 1 minute of additional time. And as the ball comes inside, a goal. Well, he got himself in a lovely position. The Sky Blues. There's Lawal has got possession. Lawal now teetering in the area, has the shot, goes past Husserl. Just like the first half, he gets the opening goal. They're on the charge for another here. Abdul Rahman, dangerous, inside. Lawal, hat-trick. He's coming back and being told it's Lawal now. Works it on. Here's a chance. Abdul Rahman, another goal. Check on the googly machine. Now Lawal has got the chance. Yep. Make it 4.
This is a really important kick of the football. From 12 yards, Jack Fulton scores!
Kobayashi. Nizam peeling to his left is Kobayashi, but Nizam will take the shot and he buries it. Khan Nizam. Nizam in front of him. 1-2 from Jack Stewart. He gets a better side of him. Michael Cooter cuts it back, looking for Court, and Max Court finds the back of the net. And just like that, Apia. Kobayashi skips inside and has Fong to his right, and Cameron Fong will get to it first and can measure a nice ball in, cutback ball. Onto the penalty spot it goes, and Presley Ortiz
crosses back in again. Yeah, it's cleared away nicely to Tafu. Tafu drives in the shot, takes it awkward bounce. Oh, and it's gone in. A ball has gone in there. Mason to Tafu with the shot.
It's a couple of times now where they've been guilty of perhaps throwing the long ball too quickly. Muri Najjar, the flag has stayed down. A huge chance for Rockdale. Never think you know which way a game of football's going. Of course, to get one over there. Emergent enemy, that is a brilliant switch of play though. And an opportunity for Marconi to equalise. Another great save from Kane. Oh, brilliant. It's cleared away again. And then bashed in by Armson.
Now, free kick taken short. Olsen back on his feet. Curves it into the box. And it's going to be finished in the back post. Sutherland lead at Sydney United.
Welcome back to Penshurst Park. Second half about to get underway between St George City and Sydney Olympic. No goals to split them in the opening 45 minutes. Daniel Wong's header into the gloves of Jack Kenny, about the closest either team came, although John Pedersen did manage to sting the palms of Anthony Carreras towards half-time. Chances few and far between. Two teams that have so much riding on this result. So perhaps we should have expected a little bit of watchfulness through the first 45 minutes. 3 points important to both as well, though. At some stage during this second stanza, we're going to see a more open game than we got in the opening 45 minutes. Let's see if that plays out. Underway in the second half, Olympic with the kickoff and going from left to right. Alex Morshanov, my name, along with you for the second 45 minutes this evening. Just waiting for the moment to spark this game to life. Olympic have made their way forward with the first attack of the second half and a half volley for Fernandez, which fell for him nicely, just not able to get on top of the ball. First shot in anger. We only got 3 of them across the first half. Already added 1 to that tally. Say as well that Sydney Olympic managed to graze the crossbar from a set piece. Didn't look likely to beat Jack Kenny, but had to get a fingertip to it to push it onto the crossbar. Almost an Olympico. Pulled out, that might well have lit up the night, but hasn't been the case. So a crossbar rattled, both goalkeepers tested. Either find the back of the net over the second 45 minutes. No bookings handed out by our referee this evening, Carl Davies, who, as you say here, much to Olympics' displeasure. What we saw from both teams in the first half was, after a pretty tight first 10 minutes, both happy to sit in the low block without the football. Did lead to some stodgy midfield play. A pitch that doesn't conduce itself to clean, tidy attacking. Olympic trying to change that narrative with this foray forward. Clarkson back in the nick of time for St George City, as he was so many times in the first half. Nice touch inside from Kukushka. Laburic getting forwards. As far forward as we've seen him this evening. Monahan Viker trying to guide the ball over the touchline. Demoto works it out of trouble. Can't link up with his countryman Pedersen though. Curry calm. Amongst plenty of blue fire surrounding him. Fresh off that 1-0 win, Mason Tatafu's goal there in the early stages of the second half. A bit of a hit and hope that caught Nick Soros out. Not a goalkeeper that's used to that sort of thing happening, and it's kept St George FC in their rut. City precious points that have taken them past their rivals on the mid-season table. It's given them a measure of comfort that wasn't there a couple of weeks ago in terms of their position in the relegation scrap. Olympic right amongst it, of course, in the first half. Not a familiar position for them. 3 points tonight could drag them back within touching distance of Blacktown City. Take them within 2 points of victory tonight. City trying to prevent that from happening. Point for either wouldn't really change their situation. City would still be clear enough of Blacktown. 6 point buffer they'd have if this result stays the same. Reminder, the bottom team in this competition goes straight down to League One, the second division in New South Wales. Second bottom goes into a home and away playoff series over 2 legs with the second place finishers down in League One. So George City, who had the majority of possession and territory, and they didn't do a lot with it in the first half, have managed to generate an attacking corner here. Let's see Olympic, all 11 players back inside the penalty area to defend this one. Tomoto's delivery is going to have to be on the money. 5-6 red shirts to aim for. Clarkson's there. Carreras got a good fist to the football, which he needed to. Ball away from the onrushing City players. Kenny with a cutting pass. Mitri's touch let him down, and so did Cholina's. Luberic, who's playing in the heart of midfield, is not going to pursue that. Berry. For Huabi, who we didn't see get forward too often in the first half. He has here, and he's fed Jackson. He did beautifully to deliver. Carreras right on his line. Ball shaping away from him, but enough to give him a scare. And the ball from the goalkeeper, by the looks of things, has been tapped behind before it's spun back into play. So City are going to come up with another corner here, much to Olympic skipper Ziggy Gordon's displeasure. Olympic in somewhat a state of disbelief. We've seen a couple of balls like that down that end of the pitch. City with another chance to put pressure on Carreras. Tomato deeper this time, and a hanging header. It was Berry who got up. Clarkson heading it back in. Berry knocks it down. And Pedersen had a swing into a crowd of blue bodies. It is becoming very packed in there. Berry emerges with the football, goes down under Bosniak's challenge, and City will do it all again, this time from a free kick. City up for the fight, and successive 50-50s in there. Ben Berry, who'd won 2 key headers in the sequence, then found himself in the very unusual right wing position. Won the free kick expertly, got his body in front of Bosniak, who bundled him over. Olympic under real pressure. This has been one of their Achilles heels. It's been addressed over the course of the year, but they don't always look as firm as they should. Tomoto over to the right to deliver this time. Oh, and a ball is allowed to bounce at the edge of the 6-yard box. Kukuchka runs it out of trouble. All hands on deck for Olympic. Frantic start to the second half. Almost advantage City, but not quite. Still nothing to show for it on the scoreboard, but Olympic look to be living dangerously. Curry. Pedersen's touch. D'Amato. Oh, through the legs of the defender. And a lovely return from Curry. This is better from City. D'Amato goes down. No for it. Penalty given. Still the ball's alive. And now the free kick blown in Olympic's favour as Wabi stretched and Grozos was back, lending a hand defensively. I think there'll be a few St. George City fans who want a second look at Tomoto going down under Politis' challenge. Look to have front spot the Japanese winger. Contact was fair, said the referee. Tomoto and Curry able to link up inside this 18-yard box, and that was another promising sign for the hosts. But promising signs don't list goals on the score sheet or results at the end of the season. And very firm challenge from Fernandez. So Berry's getting a bit of a taste of his own medicine there. Meets out a few of those. Again, Carl Davies has just said, let's play. Wasn't a game that had an underlying fire in the first half. It might well generate one in the second. New measure of physicality to this one. Kukuchka. impressive in the first half, looking for the end product. So much so that City are happy to send 2 defenders at him, and still he manages to generate a corner. And so after absorbing the pressure from City, and that's one word for it, Olympic have an attacking set piece of their own, which Brozos delivers. Looks to be too deep unless Gordon can keep it alive. Bosniak, all a little messy, and Mitri sweeps the ball away. No red shirts ahead of him. Gordon in a left wing position now. So we're getting a very perverse version of total football at the moment, and Kenny eventually gathers. Central defenders popping up in attacking positions off the back of set pieces and second phases. Did promise madness at the top of the broadcast. We didn't get too much of that in the first half. We're starting to see little glimpses in the start of the second. This commentator once again surprised by what he's seeing at Penshurst Park. Politis. It's Olympic retreating all the way to their goalkeeper, Anthony Carreras. Berry's commanding one in the air. Wong quite allowed to turn. Demoto's knocked down. He and Pedersen have been a frequent link-up, but it's often just led to St George City retaining the football rather than generating any meaningful attacks when they do clear their lines. Berry with a chance to stride forward. Rolling the ball for Mitri. Ball's returned to whence it came with Ben Berry. Pedersen dropping about as deep as we've seen him this evening, trying to get City going forward, and then Wabi's touch lets him down. Wabi, his first start for St George City was back in round 10 last season. 1-1 draw. St George City had actually taken the lead. It's the last meeting between these two at this ground. City had taken the lead before half-time through the now departed Fumoto Kamada. Tim Quall got an equaliser for Olympic, also departed now for Marconi in the 90th minute. Become a regular goal scorer over the last couple of seasons, Tim Quall. Of course, he stints with Sydney Olympic and now in the Southwest, two famous football clubs. Politis. In fact, it was Leburic winning the header, but not getting the desired direction he wanted. St George City, from a hopeful throw into the area, have won themselves a corner and have caused some problems. The last few they've sent in for Anthony Carreras. So some promise. It's a left-footed option this time, swinging the ball deep. Berry couldn't get his head to the ball. Chelina. Sort of a step over. Clarkson sets it for Mitri. And his ball evades everyone in red. Oh, and Carreras has players streaking forward. It was a good bit of distribution. An even better piece of defending from Wabi, who was the last man back and couldn't dare, and he didn't. And Leburic happy to pick up the first booking of the evening. One of the more cynical pullbacks that you'll see. Wasn't keen to allow Mitri forward. This is better from City there. Curry and Pedersen linking up. Now Demoto looking to dive in on his right, steering it for Pedersen, and Carreras can't keep it from going behind again. City seem to be growing in some confidence. Had their best period of the match in this opening 15 minutes of the second half. Olympic being put right on the back foot. So the near post delivery. Oh, Pedersen, Curry into the crowd and behind again. This time Fernandez with the heroic block. How good a sight Carreras had. Continuing their bombardment, City here. They go right to the near post. Curry, there was contact from behind. To be fair, most of the protests for a penalty were coming from the stands here. And now away is Kukuchka. His running power. Mitri back, lending a hand, and then Shalina in front manages to win his team a pressure-relieving free kick. And the crowd are up and alive and engaged in this game for the first time this evening. Right on the hour mark. It's one back high up the pitch by Olympic this time. Just as you thought St George City were settling into a rhythm and a pattern and way of breaking down their opposition, they've just let the momentum be reefed back off them. This time Jackson dragging the run of Peter Grossos to an end. Hold of his arm and made sure he didn't progress any further. So that Jackson's challenge was not quite the same level of cynical as the Buric's a minute or so earlier. But big questions about a potential yellow card that could have been meted out there. Fernandez delivers the set piece. Up was Monan Vajka. Nearly fell for Politis. Kukuchka couldn't bring it under his spell, and Demoto plays Peterson out of danger. I want to know what the Olympic fans think of Peter Politis, their longest serving player. With a cheer for that challenge. ACL injury in 2025. Olympic junior, meant he didn't see much playing time whatsoever. He's always a combative figure. A couple of seasons ago, 20 appearances, and he picked up 9 yellow cards. Hasn't quite kept up that record this year. Nice touch from Pedersen. Mitri for Demoto, and that's a rash challenge from Jarson right on the edge of the penalty area. With a step or so, and the consequences would have been rather more dire for Olympic. Not to be. Jarson right on the precipice of a penalty kick. Demoto's running power is causing Olympic more consistent issues in this second half. So an opportunity for the host to open the scoring here. Needing a moment of magic. We got one of fortune last week from Mason Tatafu. Jackson's delivery. Oh, I think Carreras got a touch. Managed to almost grab it off the head of Ben Berry, who was diving in for that back post. He's been the target of every set piece sent in. He's made a good job of competing for the majority of them as well tonight, Ben Berry. And City this time pinged for a free kick they feel aggrieved by. Still yet to see a substitution from either coach into the final half hour of the game here either. Status quo holding for now, but City have given it a right push in their direction over the start of this second half. Still plenty of football to be played out. Still, as neutrals we hope, a winner, at least a goal to be found before the end of time. Politis. Pedersen the target. Knocks it down for D'Amato. Got numbers here, City, if they move it quickly. It's giving Jackson something for run for. Pedersen knocks it down again, just behind D'Amato. Had continued his run into the area. It's not quite only a matter of time, but City certainly have looked most likely to break the deadlock of either team over the last 20 minutes in the entirety of the match. Monahan Viker, it's a tidier performance in possession than it was in the first half. Olympic are yet to come out of this low block, yet to really challenge them going the other way. D'Amato. Clarkson turning forward. Curry's made the run in behind. Giason's got a real headache behind him, and he's lost out. D'Amato. And he goes for goal himself. Fielded cleanly by Carreras. Giason having words with the referee, but he looked just to be out-muscled there. And Lewis Curry, who is growing in influence as this second half wears on. Very warm welcome to you. If you've flicked across from Sutherland's 2-1 win over St George FC, that final result will be happy thoughts for St George City supporters. Another staying below them tonight regardless of the result. Olympic, somebody else to chase. As Callahan hustled and bustled his way back for the ball. He was helped in his appeal by the Olympic supporters, and eventually referee Davies obliged. In that sort of night, what a frustration and a desire from both sets of supporters to see either team break out of this slumber the game has been in for its majority. A chilly night here in southwest Sydney. Now, it's as though Monahan Viker has gone down asking for attention. I'm sure that City really want to stop things at the moment, so this is a little bit of a worry for him. The skipper. Jets youth player has continued his record of scoring in each of his first grade seasons as a senior player, Solly Monahan Viker. A goal earlier this year, but he's being helped from the field here. So Mickey Earl may be forced into an enforced change. In fact, there's 3 red shirts being readied on the far touchline, so maybe some attacking spark to be brought in. Players of that reputation, like Stefano Rossello, like Ahmed Talib, available to St George City tonight. Oscar Gultekin has shown his quality in flashes this season as well. Looks as though Tep maybe the like-for-like replacement for Monahan Viker. Clarkson has slotted in alongside Ben Berry in the heart of defence for the moment. Going to leave Pedersen to do a lot of the running in the forward half. Callahan with some newly afforded space. Laburic and now Kukuchka. Come out by Clarkson in that makeshift centre-half position. Pedersen playing it into the arm of Kukuchka. Play on, says the referee. Mitri, or in fact, Curry, I should say. And Viker, you can see him in shot down on the near side. He wants to be brought back on. And he is back on. He'll be ready to play out straight away. Oh. He and Cholina are on different pages. It's back to the St. George City, the first half, who were struggling to find out which way they were going in terms of playing out. So Matt, looks as though Matty Jackson's been brought off. Tep has made his way onto the field. So it is the end of the night for Monaghan Viker and for Lewis Curry. Hasn't been able to find the killer pass for them. So as we mentioned, Tep has made his way on. Stefano Rossello is there. To provide some attacking spark, the Manly United junior. Defensive-minded change with Lewis Mitchell joining the back line, and it does look as though Mickey Earl has gone to a back five. Pull the ball out with his team perhaps not chasing 3 points as hard as we thought they might. Is this going to invite pressure from Olympic? Caught by Kenny. Is Michio going to be given license to really get up the pitch and get in attacking areas? It's two different ways to deploy a back five. Is it going to be closer to Moto and getting them forward in situations like this? Is it a masterstroke? Michio just running into a dead end after all of that. It was enterprise, it was creative. Gordon with a commanding call for the ball. His clearance was less so. Interesting set of substitutions for St. George City with just under 20 minutes to play. Not a clear-cut opportunity in the second half. There was Carreras forced to punch off his line from another corner kick. Jack Kenny has not had his palm stung. The second half has largely been a spectator. Olympics defensive discipline has carried them through to this stage. Here's Tap. Northbridge Junior as it was then. Into the Mariners and the MacArthur Bulls Academy. Cholina. And now to play forwards, but perhaps not the options on that occasion. Olympics still sitting as deep as they have all evening. It's going to be down to City to try and pick the lock. Clarkson. It's tap again. See just how deep Olympic are. Not even pressing even when St. George City do go over halfway. Maybe that's why. Precise pass from Berry. Creative block from Jarson, who is well positioned. Mitchell wins the ball high up the pitch. City just not clinical enough in those areas tonight. If this result does hold, that's going to be the story of the evening. It could sting even worse if Olympic come forward and find something. Grozos dribbled over the touchline. Olympic look to be readying their first set of substitutes, but Comolito has not been one for changing things without cause this season. Had a couple of halftime subs during that cup win I mentioned against Fraser Park last Wednesday. These are fresh-legged players after the weekend off. They've had the longer turnaround ahead of this congested period of fixtures that they're going to take on. Clarkson. Rosello rids himself of the ball in the nick of time. Wabi. City once again falls back. Berry. Cholina for Michio. Now Clarkson. Patient build-up. Is it going to bear fruit for them? Taken up by Mitri. Little swivel of the hips. Sets it up for Wabi's delivery. Pedersen again is there, but struggling to bring the ball under his spell. And Clarkson can't keep it in the attacking area. Callahan with a chance to run. Needs support. Will he be able to go himself? Bailey Callahan! Strikes the stanchion. And it's the closest that Sydney Olympic have come in the second half. On the counter-attack, Bailey Callahan has not been the freest scoring forwards in the club's history. In fact, he's yet to register his first league strike. That would have been a spectacular way to open the account. Is that the wake-up call that City needed down the other end? Or a couple of more numbers being thrown forward. Daniel Wong is closer to Callahan than he's been for most of the night. It's been games punctuated by late goals here. It's been a theme of this venue's existence, really, for the last 4 years. This is the period to expect the most attacking output in the history of Penshurst Park. Of the footballing script writers just been waiting for another one. Kukuchka, very clever in dispossessing his more experienced opponent. The running power of Olympic is coming to the fore. Kukuchka couldn't repeat his trick from the game against Blacktown City. But suddenly it's the visitors who have got the bit between their teeth in the last couple of minutes. I don't know if Tep Tep will see it that way, but ball that found its way through beautifully, and a beautiful bit of skill from Demoto. A clean nutmeg. Is this the moment? Wabi at the back post. Side netting. And I think it took an Olympic touch on the way through. Would have been another scrapbook scorer had Matt Wabi found the back of the net. Not to be. "12 minutes of regular time to play. City have created chances from these set pieces. Can they do so again? This one's deep, Berry's up, and the ball is wide. And now the changes look as though they're coming, although there is one from a Sydney Olympic perspective, their first of the night. City are going to join in with one of their own. So Kukuchka, who just fired over the minute or so ago, is going to be removed. Paulo Mitri making way for St George City. Young Georgios Luka is going to, with a youngster brought on for Olympic, had some influence in that cup tie. Actually started against Fraser Park on Wednesday night, last Wednesday night. He provides the difference. He's been one of the young Greek players that have made their name over the last month or so. For St George City, it's Jesse Foti who's made his way onto the pitch. Give them a little bit more running behind these closing stages, perhaps as Olympics start to come out of their shape. They've left it very late, but still a chance to claim all 3 points here tonight. Callahan with Tep in his back, dragged to the turf by the St George City substitute. Olympic fans crying for further punishment again. Doesn't look as though they're going to get it. Callahan, who's barely had a touch for 70 minutes, has finally come to the fore. The best chance of the second half from an Olympic perspective. Now he's won them a free kick in a very dangerous area indeed. Michael Melito might have finally thrown caution to the wind, although the delivery is easily gathered by Kenny. He's happy to go direct with Tomoto. Buric over in cover, and looked to have been felled. No foul, says the referee. Buric's ball is fairly easily cut out though. Rossello. Now both teams crying for something from the officialdom. Cholina for Michio. Interchange of passes with Clarkson. Tomoto. See that bounce of this pitch. Does seem to just zip off the turf a little quicker than most artificial pitches around the league. Callahan again involved, and again winning his side an attacking throw this time. Olympic, a little overzealous with the throw. Bit wasteful, all things considered. We have a winner. It's been a while since St George City have had a draw. It's been win-loss basically since that big 5-0 result that went against them. In trading displays. Is this the winning moment? Luca with a very good defensive clearance. The 20-year-old getting back to carry out his defensive duties as well. Callahan again making a nuisance of himself, and he's won the free kick off Rossello. Gordon takes it quickly. City set into their shape. You see it is a 5-4-1 without the ball since those treble of changes 10 or 15 minutes ago. Cholina. Tomoto. It's a good release, and Wabi's had growing influence going forward in this second half. Can he get another strike away or a cross? Finds his opposite wing-back, Micho. And a crossing cover was Luca again. Corner St George City. Time ticking away, the nightcap, the match of the round on Saturday in round 18. Olympic want to win, they can't afford a loss. They're being pegged right back here in the closing stages. Tomoto's delivery. Gordon read it. Firm header clear. Foti. Steered in by Cholina. Tomoto's there. Swept away by Luberic. He's done a lot of the dirty work this evening. He's been scrapping around for those second balls at set pieces and Screening in front of his defence. Kenny goes route one of the biggest boots on a goalkeeper in the competition. Chelina showing his ball-playing ability. Tomoto. Not his tidiest piece of work this evening. Barry's commanding win, and Olympic are stuck in their own half. Rossello. One for Foti. The two substitutes linking up, giving Bosniak headaches. Rossello looking to take up the attack. Couldn't bring them any further towards goal. Foti. Oh, this is the moment. Pedersen! Beautifully timed ball. And Jon Pedersen might just have stolen all 3 points for St George City. They've been endlessly patient in this second half against a well-set defence. And an ingenious finish from their star man, one they've looked to for goals. He hasn't delivered in the bagfuls this season, but that is a very important strike. A brilliantly taken goal. And Olympics defence is finally breached with the finish line in sight. City have 4.5 minutes to hang on and record back-to-back victories in the league to move them out of danger and up the table. A big win against the bottom club, considering they couldn't win away from home at Belmore. In fact, had to fight their way back into that game in round 3. Tonight they edged the first half. They have dominated the second. And Jon Pedersen with his 3rd goal of the season, the 28-year-old. Signed from J3. He wasn't full of goals either. Just 8 in his 95 appearances over the past few seasons, but he has come good at a very important moment. The contribution of Jesse Foti to be noted as well, with a slide rule pass that put him in. Corey happy to just dribble the ball over the byline. The deadlock finally broken. This only worsens the fervour around Sydney Olympic. They'll have a chance to recover on Wednesday night when they welcome SD Raiders to Belmore, but 5 points from even the relative safety of the promotion relegation playoff spot as Gordon dives in at the feet of Tomoto, and still City come away with the ball. And Tomoto's let the ball escape him again. Can Olympic pinch back a point? Wabi clears the danger. City's turn to give Olympic a taste of their own medicine and keeping everyone behind the ball. Luburic. Luka. He's found the run of Bailey Callahan, and they turned it into an opportunity. Is it for Jason? It's well directed. It was solid enough contact, but City bodies were there in great enough number to prevent the strike from being a clean one. And Peter Grozos has gone down under the challenge, but was just too closely marked, really, to generate a real shooting opportunity. And now Jack Kenny, why would he be in any rush? Certainly not. Olympics mire deepens. Could be even further if Blacktown City get a result against Rockdale tomorrow. But This takes St George City 12 points clear of that automatic fall and basically out of the running. It just takes them another few points clear. 7 it will be at the end of the night if they hang on from Blacktown City in the playoff spot. Gordon. Last chance saloon for Olympic. Luberic. Jassen. Promising ball again. Diving across in front of Jack Kenny. Good effort from Mitchell to keep the ball from going behind for a corner. Olympic have to settle for a throw instead. Jassen's going to go route one, is he? No. Finds Luca. And his cross is well over here. Kenny happy to play pretend with the gather. St George City are nearly there. Kenny's clearance told you this end is all that matters now. John Pedersen's goal on 86 minutes looks as though it's going to be enough to win it. This moment's from back-to-back clean sheets. Back-to-back 3 points. Precious given their standing in the table, but there's one last lot of defending to do as Olympic throw almost everybody forwards. Referee Davies giving plenty talking tos. There's a line of blue shirts, a line of reds, goal side of them all. Jassen doesn't beat the first man. Thought of going short as well and truly away from Olympic. Tep commanding as he's needed to be since coming on. He's been very impressive. McGear will switch to the back three with about half an hour to go. But it's allowed Michio and Wabi to be more involved in the attack. And now it's given them a defensive base with a lead to hold on to as Rossello's happy to send the ball onto the street. Another effort long. Clarkson is up ahead of Tap. There were no blue shirts in the picture. A second bite. And the ball is kept alive by Tap. Another net win for St George City. It can't be long now. And a volley it through Forest. Olympic and the equaliser. Unbelievable. On the turn, through the crowds. And Kim has got the equaliser. Oh, it was Callahan. Callahan with his first Sydney Olympic League goal. As Olympic threw the kitchen sink at the well-set St George City and have managed to escape, and I mean escape, with a draw by the looks of things, unless there's more late drama here. Taleb knocks it on. Foti pursued by Bosniak. He seems to have tidied it up. It's Sydney Olympics' only shot of the second half, and it's beaten Jack Kenny. And a dramatic night comes to a close. We had to wait a long time for the opener. Jon Pedersen looked to have won it for St George City with his clever lob over Anthony Carreras. But City couldn't hang on. They couldn't reef themselves out of the relegation battle. Bailey Callahan saving the day for Sydney Olympic. They are 3 games unbeaten. Remarkably. And St George City wonder what might have been. The wait for back-to-back victories for the hosts goes on. They haven't done it since July last year. A frantic finish to our match of round 18, the end of our slate of fixtures on this Saturday in the NPL New South Wales men's. My name Alex Molchanoff. Hope you've enjoyed it all. We are signing off here from Penshurst Park. The final score, St George City 1, Sydney Olympic 1.